Hey, what's going on, guys? Andrew with Blackstar Offroad, and today we're enjoying the beautiful wilderness of the San Bernardino Mountains here. It's specifically right behind Big Bear City, California, and I thought there'd be no better place for me to go over the top 10 tips I wish I had known when I had gone into off-roading. So let's get right into it. Tip number one is going to be practice on fire roads. Now, most people who are new to off-roading, they have no idea how four-wheel drive works. They don't know how their vehicle is going to react when you're under certain conditions like in sand, rocks, anything like that. So your safest bet is going to be to practice on fire roads. Fire roads are just access roads that the fire department put together. They go through the wilderness so that in the event of a wildfire, they can go in and have access to that fire so that they can put it out. Luckily for us is, it gives us access to all the trails that we like to go on. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the John Bull Trail. The famous John Bull Trail is just down this fire road. And obviously there are signs that lead you there, but the fire roads are pretty much just the easy access roads that you can use to kind of get a feel for off-roading, see what it's like, practice what it's going to be like to be in four-wheel drive. To be honest with you, a lot of fire roads you don't even need four-wheel drive because they're that easy, but as long as you have decent clearance, you should be perfectly fine practicing on fire roads. Tip number two is going to be air down your tires. So the whole point of airing down your tires is so that you have more traction, so that you don't slip as much, so that your tires are able to grab onto the obstacle you're trying to get over. When I first started going off-roading, I was going at 30 psi. I had no idea how low I should go. Now I realize for most normal trails, like a fire road trail, I'll go around 18 psi. If it's more rock crawling, it's a rated trail, I'll go around 15. And if it's a lot of sand, like the Glam Sand Dudes, I'll go down to around 12. That's without bead locks. But you definitely want to air down your tires. It'll give you a whole lot more traction. Not only that, but it makes your ride a lot more comfortable. Tip number three is don't floor it. And by not flooring it, I mean don't smash on the gas when you're stuck on an obstacle. There are so many times when people do that and they break axles, they lose control, or they completely lose the line that they wanted to keep as they were going up that obstacle, which just puts them in a tighter spot where they have no choice but to get winched out of that specific spot. So you want to go as fast as necessary and as slow as possible. Now, if you're stuck on an obstacle and maybe you're just not able to get up, try turning your tires to the left and to the right, because going straight, your tire maybe it's not able to, the tread is not able to grab onto the meat of the rocks that you're trying to crawl up. So you turn to the right, you turn to the left, you're going back and forth, and it just gives your tire more options, more things to grab on so that that tread can really dig into the ground. Tip number five is don't approach steep slopes at a diagonal angle. So what I mean by that is if you're coming down and you have a steep slope and it turns out you're coming down diagonally, then more than likely you're just raising the chances of you tipping over. So that could be to the left or to the right, depending on the specific slope that you're on. Most of the time what you want to do is hit those steep slopes head on. That way there's less chance of you flipping over. Tip number six is if you're unfamiliar with a specific obstacle or you don't know what's on the other side of that hill, best plan of action is always to get out and walk your line. It gives you a better idea of what your tires are going to be able to grab onto, what you need to avoid, and what's on the other side of that obstacle, especially if you have no idea what's on that trail. Tip number seven is remember the lowest points of your rig. So if you look at my Jeep under here, you can tell that the lowest point is going to be the differential, and the pumpkin is on the driver's side. So if I'm coming up to an obstacle and I can tell that there's going to be a rock, most likely that's going to hit the differential, then obviously I'm going to scoot it over to where maybe that obstacle is more closer to the passenger side so that I don't hit my differential. Either way, everybody's vehicle is different. You may have independent suspension, but you definitely want to get used to what the underside of your vehicle looks like. That way you know what obstacles to be a little bit more cautious on and how close your pumpkin is to hitting something. Tip number 8 is going to be learn your vehicle recovery points. Now on this specific Jeep, I have an aftermarket bumper. So I have a recovery point here, I have a recovery point here, and on the rear, my stock bumper came with a hook here, and then I can also hook a strap into the rear hitch receiver. So you definitely want to make sure that you are familiar with the recovery points on your vehicle. That way, if something goes wrong, it's no surprise where you need to hook your straps up to. Which leads me to tip number 9, and that's get recovery straps. So when I first started going Jeeping, the first thing that I did
was not a winch, not bumpers, not tires, not a lift. It was first thing was a recovery strap, so a tow strap and a snatch strap. Bare minimum, you need to have straps. That way you can rescue yourself, you can rescue someone else. If you're in a tricky situation, you do not want to get caught without straps. My last tip, and probably the most important tip, is going to be to tell someone where you're going. So a lot of times my wife and I will go out on trips that could be 100 miles, 150-mile trails, and the last thing you want to do is get stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere where no one can find you, or maybe there's an emergency and nobody knows where you are. So what I usually do is I'll take a screenshot of the trail that I'm going to go to, send it to a family member. That way they know where I'm going. If I don't show up when I'm supposed to show up, if something goes wrong, they know where to find me. Best thing to do is tell someone where you're going, and better yet, send them a screenshot of the specific trail you're on. If you like this video, don't forget to push that like button, subscribe to our channel, because we got a bunch of cool videos coming out. And if you're in the market for a Jeep, always remember that at Blackstar Off-Road we have the largest collection of custom Jeeps in Southern California. And if you need a winch, bumper, lift kits, anything like that, we can ship them out to you. And if you're in Southern California, we can also install them for you. Catch up with you guys in the next one.